Good evening and welcome to another episode of Late Night with Lenette. I'm Lenette Peterson, your host. Oh, our governor, she's such a disappointment. When does it end? The latest with our governor. Well, it's actually about one of her appointed positions. You know, remember the drug czar we talked about several episodes ago? I think it was last summer. Well, the drug czar is now a thing of the past. Jack Wozniak's tenure was marked by a troubling pattern of ineptitude, ineffectiveness, shall we say. Under Maggie's leadership, he refused to work with physicians. Hello, this is about substance abuse. He refused to work with local law enforcement officials. Those are the key elements for taking care of the drug problem we have here. He did absolutely nothing. Maggie's office has also lost track of the $12 million in federal funding that they were given to combat substance abuse. Folks, it's time to send Maggie out to pasture. She needs a new hobby. It's time to re-elect Senator Kelly Ayotte, keep her in the U.S. Senate, and let's say no to Maggie. Hillary, she's always a fun one to talk about. She has so much fodder. We're going to continue with some of her past escapades when Bill was president. I know we're going back to that scary time of the Clinton administration. But back then, the president allowed her to make recommendations for Civil Rights Commission. Sounds simple enough. Lainey Garnier was her selection. When just a little probing started, the discovery of Miss Garnier's radical views were so bad, she was forced to withdraw her name. Another good choice by Hilarious. And apparently Bill is a slow learner. He allowed Hilarious to make some more recommendations. She chose former law partners, Webb Hubbell for the Justice Department, Vince Foster for the White House staff, and William Kennedy for the Treasury Department. Her selections went so well. Hubbell went to prison. Foster presumably committed suicide. They still don't know what happened there. And Kennedy was forced to resign. Great track record for Hilarious Clinton. Really, folks, we can do so much better. Do we really want this woman in the White House? Just say no to Hilarious Clinton. My guest this evening, Matt Connarton. Did I say it right?
Connarton.
Connarton. I knew I was going to do that. I knew we talked about it.
But yes, we had talked about it. But you get a pass because Connarton, like I was saying before the show, is the most common mispronunciation of my last name. So it's kind of like if you don't get Connarton is acceptable.
I'll get it once in a while. Welcome to my show.
Yes, thank you very much, Lenette.
Now, Matt is the co-host of Rock, Papers, Hand Grenades with my guest from a few weeks ago, Representative Gary Hopper. You also have a very interesting part-time job. You hypnotize people to quit smoking.
I am a certified hypnotherapist, yes.
A hypnotherapist.
Hypnotherapist. Which really just means hypnotist. It's the same.
Yep. Now, how on earth did you get into a field like this?
Well, my initial interest in it began when I was a child. My mother would hypnotize me. She wasn't trained in it professionally or anything, but she had learned to do it from reading some books and listening to some tapes. And in the summertime, when I would want to stay up late, she would hypnotize me to try to get me to relax and just go to sleep because I was awake and wired and whatnot. And it was interesting, and then I just kind of forgot about it, as I grew up. And it was about 15 years ago now, I kind of reconnected with the idea of hypnosis when I was going through a very, very severe bout of depression. And it was something looking back now, I realized I'd struggled with it all my life. It started, like I think it does for a lot of people in my teenage years. I didn't recognize it as what it was at the time necessarily, but I used to think of it as falling into a big black hole that I would then have to try to climb my way out of. And I had a bout of depression so severe that it was like I got desperate, and I decided. My first decision was to go to see a psychiatrist. I had always avoided that up until then because I hated the idea of going on any kind of medication for it. but I just came to a conclusion. I was so desperate. It was like, okay, I have to deal with this. So if that means I have to go on something, then so be it, because this is awful. I went to a psychiatrist. I don't even remember her name. I went twice and never went back, because now it's changed. I mean, this was in the late 90s, but my experience with the psychiatrist was very much like that. You know, that joke about, I went to the shrink and then I had to lie on a couch for an hour and talk about my mother. And I mean, that really was what it was.
Oh, too funny.
And my mother had nothing to do with my depression. I actually had a pretty normal upbringing and whatnot. It was just, I knew it was just something in my brain, a chemical imbalance or whatever. Mm-hmm. Around the same time that I started to go to the shrink, I started hanging out in the self-help section of a bookstore. Major chain, but they're not giving me any money, so I won't say who they are. But I stumbled upon some books. Are you familiar with Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker?
Yes,
tall guy with the
yeah.
white teeth. I started reading some of his stuff, and he talked about neuro-linguistic programming, which is a type of hypnosis. So then I started reading some other books, and in that same section about NLP, about hypnosis, and learned how to hypnotize myself.
Oh, wow, you can hypnotize yourself?
Oh, absolutely, easily.
Huh.
Well, really, people don't realize this, but any kind of meditation that you do is really hypnosis. It's the same thing. You're putting yourself into a hypnotic state when you meditate. So I learned this cool visualization where, and you don't even have to be, this is part of NLP, you don't even have to be in a hypnotic state to do this necessarily. You can do this consciously, but I learned how to deal with my depression by, I would sit in a quiet place and I would imagine, and this will sound silly, but I thought, what would depression look like? If depression were an object, what would it look like? And without thinking about it too hard, I just kind of let my imagination decide. And it kind of looked like, I decided it looked like the Death Star from Star Wars. Just this big black ball.
Yeah.
And then I would imagine myself pushing this ball of depression out in front of me. And then, I know it sounds silly, but I would imagine laser beams shooting out of my eyes into this big ball of depression, and I would watch it explode in front of me. I would do that for about 20 minutes a day. I'd switch it up too. I would do, I'd imagine myself smashing it with a baseball bat, just different things. But the lasers was my favorite. And
sounds cool.
I would do that, 20 to 30 minutes a day. After a couple of weeks of doing that visualization, I couldn't get depressed if I wanted to. It was like I'd literally destroyed it. So then I was like, okay, this is pretty powerful stuff. So then I just became a sponge, started reading everything I could about hypnosis. When friends and family found out that I'd gotten so into this, one of my friends, Matt Marcil, asked me to hypnotize him. He had a fear of bugs to the point that it was hard for him to be outside in the summertime. He had this intense phobia, and it was getting worse. So I said, okay, I'll try it. I'd never hypnotized anyone else, only myself. So we did a session. I hadn't had any formal training yet, so I kind of knew what I was doing, but not fully. But we did the session. Afterward, we go outside. He's going up to trees, looking for spiders and whatnot, poking at them, and no fear.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, so I would hypnotize other people, friends, family members, and.
Now you said that you hadn't had any formal training at that point.
Right.
Did you go for formal training after that?
Yes, because what would happen is people kept telling me, you're good at this, you should do this professionally.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you need a license or something to do it professionally?
Not in New Hampshire.
No. Okay.
No.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Some states you do. Massachusetts, they're very, very tough about that. But
the socialist state of Massachusetts?
Yes. The National Guild of Hypnotists, of which I'm a member, they're always fighting that. They're always trying to fight legislation because in some states you have psychiatrists and psychologists who don't like hypnotherapists very much.
Oh, I'm sure.
In New Hampshire, they do. They work with us sometimes.
Oh, wow.
We'll share clients, but
well, you take couch space away from them.
Exactly. Because with hypnosis, you can cure a phobia in one session.
Oh, wow.
Or you can go to a psychiatrist for 5 years and lie on a couch and talk about your mother and maybe, But so people encouraged me to do it professionally. So then I went to the National Guild of Hypnotists and enrolled in the program that they had. I think they've moved it. At the time, it was at Southern New Hampshire University. So I had to do that. It was only a half a semester to get my certification, but I did that, became certified. I've got a bunch of other certifications and things like hypnobirthing and all kinds of other stuff.
Hypnobirthing?
Yeah.
You hypnotize someone when they're now. Is that so they don't have labor pains and stuff like that?
Right. The idea is to control the pain without medication. It's not like what it sounds. I don't.
No. My husband's mother talked about this, that she
really?
did this when this was with his older sister, who's, I'm going to give her age. I won't give her name, but she's 55.
Yeah.
So, this was several years ago when she was born.
Yeah.
And his mother talked about how she hypnotized herself or was hypnotized. And so had no medications and had the baby natural with no pain. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got my certification. I work out of an office in Concord now, although I also do house calls if someone would rather I go to their home, because it's important that the client is in an environment where they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it ever since. I do a lot of stop smoking sessions. That's by far what I do the most of. But I also do weight loss, stress reduction, phobias.
No, hypnotizing someone for weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
What do you just hypnotize them that they avoid sugar, or?
Yeah, that's usually one of the things. I give them hypnotic suggestions to avoid, junk food, and to also be more motivated to exercise, to replace bad habits. We always try to replace bad habits with good habits. So, instead of reaching for junk food, reaching for an apple or something. I do a pre-talk with the client, which lasts about 20 minutes, where I ask a lot of questions about, what specifically do you do now that you need to avoid in terms of what you're eating. What do you like to do? What kinds of exercise do you like to do, or would you like to do if you were to exercise, so we can get you doing that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, my mom, years ago, God bless my mom, I got hypnotized to not smoke.
Yeah.
And it worked phenomenal.
Yeah.
She didn't smoke, I want to say probably 6 months. Didn't smoke. And she was a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
Probably 2 packs a day.
Yeah.
She says no, but yeah, it was like 2 packs a day. 6 months into it, decided to try one to see if that was it.
Yep.
She was back to her 2-pack a day habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always warn my clients about that. I say, don't try to test it. Just once the session is over, that's it. You're a non-smoker. So don't force it, because you can force yourself to do anything.
Right.
You can be a non-smoker and still. I've never smoked a day in my life. I think it's gross. But if I wanted to force myself to smoke a cigarette, I could.
Right.
So why do that? So I always tell my clients, just be a non-smoker, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, can you hypnotize? Say you were at a rally. Mm-hmm. Can you hypnotize like everyone in the
mass hypnosis?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So we go into states of hypnosis thousands of times a day and don't even realize it. For example, if you're reading a book or watching a movie and you're so focused on that, maybe somebody says your name and you don't even hear them. It's because you're so focused on whatever it is you're focused on that you're existing in that reality, not your present reality of what's around you. So you're using your subconscious mind, your imagination, to focus on whatever it is. So if you're at a rally, or say I'm speaking at a rally, there are certain things I can say that will appeal to someone's subconscious mind. It is a form of hypnosis, yes, because anytime you're engaging someone's subconscious mind. For example, if I were a politician, I was running for office, I might say something like, you don't have to vote for me, but if you do, I can promise you this, this, this. Now, of course, politicians usually do the second part of that. If you vote for me, I'll promise you this, this, and this.
Right.
If I say, you don't have to vote for me, though, see, that's a trick that we hypnotherapists learn. The subconscious mind has difficulty processing negatives. So if I say, you don't have to, this is a great trick, too, for parents who want to be able to keep their kids in line. If you say to somebody, you don't have to, the subconscious mind just hears you have to. It doesn't hear the don't. So I might say at a rally, you don't have to vote for me, but what the subconscious mind hears is, you have to vote for me. Because I'm going to give you this, this, this.
You should go to the Democratic National Convention and say, you don't have to vote Republican.
Right.
Get them all to vote Republican. And they'll vote right for a change.
But you can't hypnotize anybody against their will either.
Yeah,
So it's not mind control, unfortunately, or fortunately.
Bummer. Now, you said smoking is your biggest.
Yeah. Oh, by far.
Yeah, yeah. What comes in second place?
Weight loss.
Weight loss.
Yeah. And I'd say stress reduction is probably third, although to be honest with you, that tends to be tied in with, I mean, why do people eat?
Yeah.
One of the reasons people eat junk food is because of
Stress.
stress. One of the reasons people smoke is because of stress. So,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And phobias are fun. I get phobias occasionally too, and those are fun.
Yeah. Now, what other than spider phobias or bug phobias?
Well, the most common phobia is snakes, but nobody ever really comes to me for that specifically. Fear of flying. I've had people come to me for that one a lot. Somebody's got to get on a plane for the first time, and they're terrified.
Yeah.
That's a fear of heights too. Somebody just got a new job and they have to climb ladders and they're scared.
Oh, wow.
Because that's very common too. Fear of heights. And those are probably and fear of public speaking. Actually, I forgot about that one because that's very common.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, I mean, oh my word, if I even knew the right answer and I was called on, I said I didn't know. I did not want to talk in class.
I was the same way.
Yeah. And
I can relate.
Yeah, and then I went into teaching. I was a PE teacher, athletic director, coach. You have to do a lot of talking.
Yeah.
And some of my friends, when I got elected to office, they said, "You actually speak in public?" I said, "Yeah, I speak in front of 400 people at the State House."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so opposite of what I was as a kid.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I don't know how I came out of my shell, but I did.
I'm the same way. I can relate to that. I was very much, I mean, I'm still an introvert in a lot of ways. I'm kind of a quiet person unless I'm in front of a TV camera or a microphone or on a stage. But I was painfully shy as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so was I.
Yeah.
My mother said if company came to the house, I usually hid in my bedroom closet. Unless it was my grandparents or my godparents, I was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I was an introvert, honest, trust me.
Yeah.
Now, how busy that's a part-time job, so how often a week are you hypnotizing people?
I'm pretty busy this time of year, especially with people make their New Year's resolutions and whatnot. I mean, it could be. I'm also very busy running my business, IPM Nation. So if I were to just go all in with hypnotherapy, I mean, I certainly could do it full time. But there's plenty of people out there who need the help. But there's only so many hours in a day. I am a workaholic. That's all I do is work. But I mean, it's such a, especially for quitting smoking, I really believe it's the easiest way to quit. So, although I hear good things about acupuncture, but this time of year is definitely busy. Slowest time of year would be when you get into the holidays. Nobody wants to think about weight loss when you got Thanksgiving coming up, and
then all the Christmas parties and the Christmas goodies.
Yeah. And people get stressed out over all that stuff too, all the obligations, and so nobody wants to quit smoking in December.
True. Yeah.
But January rolls around, and of course too, spring too. People want to get in shape for summer. So.
Yep. And now, can most things, like if you're getting hypnotized for weight loss, can that be done in one session, or is it? Yeah. And a session's like what, like an hour, half hour?
About an hour. Yeah. You can deal with most change in an hour. Even quitting smoking, people are surprised sometimes to hear me say that you can quit after one session. Absolutely. There is kind of an old school approach to it where you've got these hypnotherapists who will try to sell you on a package. Okay, you come to me for 6 sessions, and at the end of session number 6, you'll finally be a non-smoker. And I always want to be careful about how I talk about that, because I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any of the people who do it that way. I don't think they're trying to bilk anybody or mislead anybody. I think it's just kind of an old school way of doing it. And what we know now about the human mind is, this is the way I was trained, you can do it in one session. There's no reason in the world why you can't give someone a series of hypnotic suggestions while they're in a state of hypnosis that will stick after one session, and they're good to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever had fun with it and hypnotize someone and get them to bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken?
Well, not in an office setting, certainly, but I have done stage shows. I'm also a trained stage hypnotist.
Oh, wow. So that's where you can have the fun and Too funny. Now, what's the funniest or craziest thing you've had someone do under hypnosis?
My personal favorite is I'll hypnotize someone to believe that they've lost their belly button. and then they're frantically looking for their belly button and they can't
Nice.
find it. And it's just a silly, stupid thing, but it's it's just funny.
Oh yeah, I bet. Oh,
Yeah.
too funny.
You know, people be taking off their shoes looking for it, and just looking in their pockets. And,
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, how often do you do something like that? Like
I haven't done a stage show in a while.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years. I've only done maybe 7 or 8 of them over the course of my career.
now, how long have you been doing this? How long is your career span?
I've about 15 years now.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah, gone in the blink of an eye, maybe even a little longer. Yeah, 15, 16 years. Time goes so quick.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't I know it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when they do a stage setting, and again, can you do a mass?
Well, I mean, I can say certain things.
Yep.
You don't have to sign up for my mailing list, but you may want to. But as far as bringing people up on stage, I'll give you. I mean, this isn't giving too much away, but because people ask me all the time, does stage hypnosis really work? Because I'll explain to someone, well, it's not mind control. I can't hypnotize someone against their will, and then they'll say, well, how come you can bring people up on stage then and get them to do silly things? And the reason is, if I'm on stage and I'm asking for volunteers to come up, I'm going to pick the people who are most excited to come up on stage.
Right. You're not going to pick the doubter shaking their head like,
Exactly.
guy's a quack.
Exactly. Anyone can be hypnotized, but they have to be willing to go along with it. They have to allow me to take them into a state of hypnosis. So I'm going to pick the people who are excited and want to go up. And sometimes those people are the introverts. But even the most introverted people have that thing inside them where they want to be able to ham it up a little bit. It's almost like a fantasy to be able to go up on stage and be silly. So even someone who's maybe not jumping out of their chair, but they look like they kind of want to come up. Yeah, come on up. And because they want to be hypnotized, so then it's easy to just bring them into a state of hypnosis and they're putty in my hands. But I'm not going to try to bring up the person who's sitting there with their arms folded going, I'm just came to watch,
Yeah.
Because they're not going to let me hypnotize
Right.
them.
And now if someone's doing it for smoking, I mean, they've made the conscious effort to come to you. So they're not going to be, hopefully they're not going to be doubting it when they're there, saying, well, this guy can't work with me. He can't do this. 'Cause it wouldn't work at that point,
right.
I would guess.
And actually, I'm very careful of when I have that initial conversation with the client, the prospective client, typically on the phone, I pay very close attention to the language that they use. Because if they sound at all like, yeah, this probably won't work, but my family really wants me to try it, so I figured I'll try it, but I'm not expecting much or whatever, then I have to tell them, well, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're ready.
Right. Doubting Thomas isn't going to work.
Right, right. You can make whatever change you want to make,
right,
but you have to want to do it. If you don't really want to do it, if your heart's not in it, I can't, because if I hypnotize you for something, whatever change it is that you're trying to make, I'm not doing it for you. All I'm doing is guiding you through the process. Really, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm just guiding you through it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a daughter that is deathly afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
I mean to tell you, when I see those, pictures on Facebook of someone torching their house and say, yep, the spider's dead now, that would be my daughter.
Yeah. I don't like them either.
I don't like them, but I mean, if I see one, hey, if you're in my house, you deserve to die.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will kill you if you're a spider.
Right.
You're going to die.
Me too. Yeah.
Outside, I'll let them be because they have a purpose. They eat mosquitoes.
Right.
They eat other nasty little critters.
Right.
But if you're in my house, no, you got to die.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But if it's big and hairy, Eric, he needs to die.
Right. Right.
My
yeah.
husband will kill it,
Yeah.
or my black lab eats it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You can always tell when it bites her, I don't know, shakes her head. But there's someone that's going to kill the spider.
Right.
But no, my daughter, no, she'd rather cry or scream.
Yeah.
She may be a candidate for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Life would be so much better. Her younger sister likes to kill spiders in my older daughter's room.
Yeah.
And then taunt and chase and scare her with that dead spider.
That's not nice.
No, it's not nice. No, she's evil.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, have you ever hypnotized anyone on your show on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades?
Not on that program. on Norm and Friends, which is the show right before Gary's. I was Norm's co-host for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And I occasionally go back on as a guest and hypnotize people. So I've actually hypnotized quite a few people on that program.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I helped Norm quit smoking.
Not,
He needed to quit. And
anyone that's smoking needs to quit.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it's such a foul disease. I just watched my mother go through a 1.5 years of cancer because of smoking.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she was healed in heaven, but she was only 77.
Yeah.
Her mother lived to be 95, almost 95. My grandmother's sister, 95. There was longevity.
Yeah.
They didn't smoke.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And, other than not just cancer, there's so many things, emphysema and so
Oh
many
yeah. Oh, and the
terrible
smell.
things.
Oh my word. It's like kissing an ashtray when you kiss a smoker. Oh, it's disgusting.
I tried a cigarette once in high school, not because I wanted to take it up as a habit. I was just curious, like, what is it about it that could be so great that makes someone want to keep doing it once they start? So I figured, well, I'll just try one just to see. One's not going to get me addicted to it. So my friend Sean gave me a cigarette, and I puffed on it, and the taste of it was so awful. I felt like I just put a spoonful of dirt in my mouth. To this day, I don't understand it. I don't understand smoking.
Yeah, no, I've never tried one. My mother used to have me light hers and I would hold it up. It's just,
Really?
You gotta take a drag. I'm not taking a drag of that thing.
Yeah.
And I used to sabotage her and try to get her to quit smoking.
Really?
I would put unlit fuses down the cigarette.
Yeah.
So when she lit it, it just singed her bangs and eyebrows a few times.
Wow.
Yeah, she didn't like that. And so then she got into the habit of looking at her cigarette. So then I started rolling the filter out.
No kidding.
I would just roll it, and the paper for the filter stayed there, but I just took that. I don't know if it's made of cotton or that cloth filter out.
Yeah.
I would take that out. So, she'd get it and put it in her mouth and take the first drag, and she'd get a mouthful of tobacco.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
None of those worked, though.
Oh, it was a valiant effort.
Yeah, I had fun. Unlit matches. If I couldn't find a fuse, I'd stick an unlit match down inside the cigarette and watch it torch.
No kidding.
But, yeah. Well, we're coming to the end of the show.
It
that goes quick.
Goes very quick, yeah.
I tell you. Well, it's very interesting. I may be giving you a call.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Lenette.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Late Night with Lenette. Good night and God bless.